So, yeah, just share the room, let people know we getting going. Tell a friend to tell a friend real quick before as we get started. Today's topic, I want to talk about a bit of current events. We try to weave in current events into what we're talking about because I mean a lot of these things apply, especially when we're talking about marketing. Marketing seems to be everywhere at all times in one form or another. And I think we saw a bit of it when it came to Shador Sanders, Deion Sanders' son. So he was the hot topic of the week. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of that. He was projected to be at the very least, the second QB taken in this year's NFL draft. Some people thought he would go first, but Cam Ward out of the University of Miami, he went first, and Shador dropped all the way to the fifth round. He fell behind at least 6 or 7 other kind of noteworthy quarterbacks. The quarterback from Alabama, Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart. It was a few other, from Ole Miss. There was a few people that he fell behind that people were just kind of shocked to see. And the narrative around it was that, the NFL owners had decided to kind of lash back at Deion. There was a narrative put out that Shador's interviews were horrible. They said he went in and kind of they didn't say he purposely kind of tanked the interviews, but what they said is that he wanted to dictate what team he was going to go to. He was kind of going into the interviews telling them what he was going to do. They said he projected a lot of arrogance, a lot of cockiness. There was a lot of anonymous sources that said, this is the worst NFL interview they'd ever been involved in, and the backlash from that, from the Black community, the sports community, the social media, started to kind of center around arrogance, cockiness, and being humble. And what they also did was kind of push this narrative between who Cam Ward is and who Shador is. I saw a lot of conversation with regards to, if you're a Black man, you got to walk into these doors humble because these white people is going to do this. These white people going to do that to you. They're going to make sure they show you who run this, and you can't be acting like this. And then I saw another side of it that said, well, hold on, Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers, some of these white quarterbacks have been able to walk into a room and be as arrogant and as cocky. Eli Manning, famously, because, like I said, pre-draft, for those who don't know, Deion Sanders, Hall of Famer, he said that he was going to make sure that his son went to a team that was the right fit for him. He was going to interject if a bad team took Shador, that he would jump in and kind of like either pull out or say that we won't play. They would do a holdout. And famously, years ago, Eli Manning, brother of Peyton Manning, their father, Archie Manning, did the same thing with Eli. And Eli was supposed to go to the San Diego Chargers, and the father actually dictated how that pick would go. And of course, Eli ended up with the New York Giants. So there was all of these comparisons of when Archie Manning did it for Eli, everybody said, "Oh man, that's a smart father who knows the game. He know how football work, and he made sure that he put his son in the right position." When Deion's doing it, it's Deion's doing too much. He's trying to take over. He's trying to usher in this new wave of, clearly there was a different narrative around Deion doing it. Some of it being racial, some of it just being the who's arrogant, who's not. The white quarterbacks being framed as confident and fiery, while Shador and quarterbacks like him are labeled as cocky and arrogant. So I want to talk about that because I think this applies to all of us in one form or another when it comes to our businesses or even as employees when you're going in for interviews. If you know you're the shit and you have a little bit of leverage or you think you have a little bit of leverage, where's the line? How do we draw the line? Are we as Black people allowed to be confident and borderline arrogant? Like, is that a thing? Can we even project that kind of an attitude? Duran, this is why I laughed when I saw you jump on stage. Because I know you and I have had some of those conversations here on this call as well. But I want to hear from the stage first, and then we'll get to the audience as well. Like, what do y'all think? Like, are Black people allowed to be marketed as? I mean, like, what's the line? What's the line between cockiness and arrogant versus confident, fiery, a passionate leader? Like, where are we with that? What do y'all think we are with that?
Oh shit. I mean, I think when it comes to black folks, there is a double standard, and we don't like that there's a double standard, and we, of course, it's kind of our job to push back, but it's also, for me, for the sake of balance, it's kind of our job to think about how to finesse as well and make sure that people feel like it's their idea. You know what I'm saying? Like the movie Inception, like certain ideas and things won't hold unless people take ownership of them and make them feel like, because everybody wanted Kendrick to win when Swimming Pools was coming out 10 years ago, whenever that was. Like, everybody wanted to see, J. Cole finally come up. Everybody wanted to see Nipsey. Like, everybody took like personal ownership of their success and wanted to move them forward versus someone trying to dictate, what I'm saying, exactly what's going on, like his father did, what I'm saying? But it was genuine when his father did it because his father was being him. It doesn't come across, to me, it doesn't come across the same way in this instance with regards to Shador, because it looks and feels like he's being coached into it. And the people who didn't like it when his dad did it the first time going into the NFL and then the second time going into college football, they're gonna take their opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to strike back. Like, so even though there are precedents for, like, niggas taking control of where their sons go, it's just like, as black folks, we want to stand up and let our nuts drop like everybody else. But I do feel like in some cases you got to finesse.
Here on top of this, which I thought was very interesting too, is and especially in football, some of the other sports too, but especially football, the media loves the narrative of, the poor kid, who didn't have shit, and some white coach took him in and saved him, like the blind side and that type of thing. And I think the media is also having an issue with Shador not needing anything. Like, he grew up as a wealthy kid. He went to great schools. Which is, I'm sure, where he get, besides his father, where he gets a lot of his confidence from, because he's competed at top levels across the board since he was a child. He didn't need any white people's help to get him anywhere. And I don't know if the NFL and some of these teams can handle that kid that didn't come from the projects and was raised by his grandmother, and parents on drugs, and the usual bullshit mainstream story. And I think that's another layer on top of all this, why they wanted to kind of put him in his place.
So, but okay, so that being said, though, knowing kind of where we are as a culture, right? There is, I mean, I'm sure you all are kind of familiar with the whole AAU basketball movement. The kids that are coming up that are going to the NBA, oddly enough, it'll make you feel real old. These are the kids of a lot of the pro ballers, right? So when you start seeing, Carmelo Anthony Jr., LeBron James Jr., all of these kids that are now, these ain't poor ghetto kids that came up and are using basketball to get out the hood. These are the sons of rich, wealthy, influential athletes now, and that's going to be a thing, and it might be a thing for a while. As culturally and supposedly we are doing better financially, some of us. Um, like, what happens here? Like, what do you do at this point with the ability? Like, no, Bronny is not supposed to necessarily come in the door humble. He's LeBron James's kid. Cayenne, Carmelo's son, isn't supposed to come in the door humble per se. But if that's the requirement, why is that the requirement? And then what do we do about it? Do we all, is this going to be a forever thing, or is this going to be a changing of the guard? Like, what do y'all think?
I think it's a big difference between football and basketball, though. Football is very, yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah, exactly. Besides the sports being different, just the whole structure of football is still very much, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but it's very much, old school, and it's still, mostly it's all white owners, mostly white coaches. It's still set up in that way, so that paradigm is different. Whereas with basketball, there's black coaches, there's black owners, there's black everything in basketball. So, what's going to happen, I don't know, because also I think this shows that most of the white power structure doesn't even understand what you just said, Nick, which is, a lot of us are doing better, and the story has changed, and then I don't think they're prepared to deal with it.
So,
I think.
go ahead, Natasha.
Go ahead, Durant. No, no, no. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. You got it. You got it. I'll come after you. I remember my point.
Okay, so it's several points. I need more than an hour, but I'm gonna try to sum this up into one. We have to think historically. I mean, we still have to earn our stripes in so many different areas, and all the things are compartmentalized when it comes to Black people. Black wealth is like, it's still a shock that Black people can have money and pop shit. Like, I don't know why it's still a shock factor every time they look up Black folks got a right to actually have utilize their privilege, use our privilege, and it's a shock. So I think that plays a major part in it. Two, when we're thinking about personal branding, we expect Black athletes to have the same brand personality and be able to turn it off and on. We want them to be accepted with the Black community when it's supposed to be, and then when it's time to do business, we want them to put on the suit. We want them to do, exactly what they're required to do, because it's still like a corporate job, I guess you could say, interview style and all of these many things. So the thing is that with football, there is a new era of athletes that are coming into the game. I think about John Morant, right? Like how he's even having his
What happened?
I think she's driving. We probably lost her. Natasha, if you can hear us, we lost you, Sister Natasha. I guess I'll run my mouth until she come back, and then I'll just mute when she come back in. Okay, so this is probably one of my favorite ones, Nick. I do take the position that never let your confidence supersede your competence. Always have a balanced ratio between your confidence and your competence, because you can't be too overconfident but not competent. You can't be competent but not confident. So there definitely has to be a balance there. But 3 parts. One, even the notion that we have to have a conversation to see how we fit in white society is highly problematic to me. Again, the way I look at it as, we have Earth. Whether you're an atheist like me or you're a religious person that's Christian or Muslim or whatever one's religious is, this Earth was not created for white people. It was created, but it was not created for white people. Before we even get into like space and everything, if people believe in that, but Earth was not created for white people. So the notion that we even have to have a conversation amongst each other on how we should behave, I think I love the conversation, Nick. It's amazing content. You should do part 7. This may be a series, but I'm just saying generally outside of this room, Nick. So when I say have the conversation, I'm not talking about your room. I'm just saying generally, we see it every day in society. We're figuring out ways to have a discussion around how we can behave in society and on Earth. If we just really sit on the bed and just think about that, we have to figure out how to behave on Earth because white people don't own it. That's the most insane thing ever. I would never teach my kids that. I have 8 kids. I will die for them to see that. That will never be their reality. So in that sense, I want Deion Sanders' son to be very arrogant when he walk in there. Because granted, he's getting a job from the NFL, but the NFL they need the players. It's a symbiotic relationship. And think about it. White guys can get it together and say, just the notion, this here is cocky. Oh, let's get together as team owners and show this boy a lesson. That in this premise is cocky. To think you can get together to say, we have so much power, we're going to show this boy. We're going to show this boy that we'll pick him 5th. Okay, that's fine. And the more they do that, Deion Sanders and all the Sanders get more arrogant. Because the reality of it is, you guys called their bluff. They still let him in the NFL. If it was really real, they should have not drafted him or his brother. Show us it's really real. They still let him in the NFL. White people be bluffing, man. I'm gonna tell you guys that now. Second part, and then I have my closing part. Second part, I'm in Beverly Hills yesterday, Nick. My wife and I got the top down with the Porsche. I turned the music up so loud because I knew white people were going to be upset. I pulled over on the curb, got out at the restaurant, and then the guy was looking at me. So I had a conversation. I said, "Everything all right? How you doing?" I said, "My wife and I, we're not celebrities." He's like, you like the music that loud in your car?" I said, "Just ask me what you want to ask me." I said, "You like being fat? You like being overweight?" Why am I making this point? We be even allowing stuff from white people that don't even take care of themselves. They act as if they're the golden standard. I be seeing a lot of rich people in Beverly Hills. I'm like, damn, he don't get a manicure. Look at his teeth; they're yellow. Like he doesn't take care of his brush his teeth, take care of his dental hygiene. So it's like we even allow the sloppiest people to talk crazy to our most elite people. I think it's a deep psychology that we're actually going through. I don't see these people as default. Who the fuck gives a shit about Beverly Hills? The restaurants are terrible. The food is horrible. The concretes are messed up. It's an illusion. So the idea that I can't drive through and listen to music the same way I would in Detroit is preposterous to me, especially given the fact that I know the mayor. So I do shit like that on purpose, so my brain can be reminded white people don't run shit at all. They don't run shit. Literally, they don't. Last point, Nick. I don't behave at all. At this very moment, Nick, everybody in tech told me 5 years ago that I should be quiet, I should be humble, just be cool, a little quiet. Guess what? Today, my company has number 41 on Crunchbase. It's almost impossible to be the 41st ranked company. Ilya Sutskever, who created ChatGPT, his company is number 35. In a few days, our company would dislodge his company. And we got there with me being exactly the way that I am. In my assessment, white people just test black people. Let's see if we got a person that will be a slave that will turn his or her back and run in the field like they're running from a bear so we can devour them. If we get a black person that's tough, we'll fight them. We'll keep cutting. We'll keep cutting. We'll keep cutting. If they survive the knife slices, then they can go in. It's literally, I say it every single time. They love a strong black person that will fight them. And they're going to do everything they can to break them down. Dave Chappelle talked about this, what they attempted to do Martin Lawrence. And when they see they can't break the black person, they back off of them. Most black people, they attempt to break them. And when they see that they can break them, they say, okay, we control those niggas. Sit down, nigga. And for the ones they can't control, like what they're attempting to do with Kanye, call them crazy or whatever, Kanye, in my assessment, is saying, I'm going to do the wildest shit ever to show white America I will not listen to them. I know it's going to be bad. I can't fix it with Kim after. My daughters are seeing me talk crazy about their mother, but I have to take that risk. I'm going to be the craziest person they want me to be to show white people they can't control me. We've seen this with Dick Gregory. We've seen this with James Baldwin. We've seen this with Nina Simone. We've seen this with Muhammad Ali. All of these figures. We've seen this with Malcolm X, who became Al-Shabaab when he departed from the nation. I don't agree that we have to simmer ourselves to even have a discussion on how we should behave around white people, much less change our behavior for them. I'm going on mute.
Well, goddamn, we love that. I was waiting on that shit. As soon as I saw the topic, I was like, okay. Tasha, you back?
I am, but it's hard to follow up with Durant because he just said everything. I mean, what else is there to say? But I mean, it's just time to change the cultural narrative. We've been humble for too long, and that's why I said it's just a new wave of athletes. It's just a new wave. I think this Gen Z. I think about the Gen Alpha. Like they're wanting to get away from having slavery in the history books and all of that kind of stuff. So now you're giving them every right to understand that they also have privilege and it's an equal playing ground. So you can't say y'all are niggas when y'all are trying to say that niggas don't even exist anymore. So I think there's a rude awakening that's happening. Oh, you're making an equal playground. I just don't think the Karens of the world, or just white people that are on the boomers of the world, aren't ready for the pivot that they're creating, because the new black wave, they don't care anymore. Like, it doesn't exist. Y'all say it don't exist. It don't exist anymore. So we have to respect it. So I love it. It's time.
And
It's
on
a
top of that,
revolution.
and just to piggyback on top of that, with regards to the time and the revolution, is like our generation. Me being an '80s baby, I feel like our generation was the last generation that was held down by religion. So it's like if they couldn't fuck with you societally, then they fuck with you with the guilt, the religious guilt, and try to hold you back that way and be like, oh, what I'm saying. And like you said, this generation absolutely is they're totally removed from religion for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And if they weren't before the pandemic, the churches are still empty after. So, you know what I'm saying? I agree completely.
But it's two things. I think the conversation is still relevant. We don't need to be so cocky to where we supersede our competence. Maybe that could be the other one, Nick. Marketing, confidence, competence, and cockiness, part two. But and also, we don't need to be so cocky to where people don't get to see our competence. That's a totally different thing. But here's the other side of it. We're talking about entertainment. Floyd Mayweather needed to go up and act. He said it at the end of his career. He said, I made you guys eat your words. I gave you guys the persona. That's what they want. That's what sells in entertainment. NFL is not some fucking Ivy League, let's cure cancer organization. It's fucking football. Let's get real. It does great things for the black community because it gets people out of poverty, but it's fucking football. He needs to entertain. He needs to be just like his dad and be arrogant in there. Now, it's a difference when we're talking about why is one going to get accepted inside of Harvard and then go and talk to the dean and just act ridiculous for the sake of acting ridiculous. I don't think we need to do that. In fact, we're so great and we're so creative and we have so many dimensions to us, we don't have to do that. But when white people act up, it needs to come out. I'm going on mute.
So that brings me to the next part of that, though. So, like, we of course we're talking sports. So of course sports entertainment is going to be a little different, right? There are some liberties that I can take. There are some words that I can say as a person in the music business that the average person may not be able to, right? But like, how does this apply elsewhere? Because that's the majority of people on this call are not potential NFL quarterbacks,
No doubt.
nor are they the next VP of some record label. Like, if you know that you're good, if your resume says that you're good, like, I've had this conversation multiple times with a few people on this call. Isaac is here. Isaac, what up? Get you, Gary, get Isaac up here as moderator, please. Isaac, I've had it. Tev, I've had it with Jermaine. Like, we've all talked about, like, hey, if Durant, if you have a product, if you have a skill set, if you have a resume that speaks for you, when are you able to go into a job interview, a meeting, a conference, a whatever, and really pop your shit? Or can you just never do it? Is it just never on the table, in particular for us?
At the end of the point, and I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like the point is having the ability to do that, but not necessarily needing to do it. I mean, if you think that overconfidence is your only leverage, then you tripping, especially like you said, if your resume is tight, if you did the numbers over the past 18 to 24 months, then you don't really have to turn up on their ass. You don't really have to use that type of energy as your leverage when your work is your leverage. The value that you bring to, like, your value proposition is your leverage. Now, of course, like the homie said, if someone tries to play you, that's one thing, but for you to just come off as if that's the thing that needs to happen, like that's the cologne that you need to wear, I think it's best for us to be layered. You know what I'm saying?
I'm still in that one. The
I
cologne
think
you need to wear. I'm going on mute.
so. The words for that would be discernment and emotional intelligence. And I think that's something that as a culture, we have to do better about. I mean, we label things like code switching and things of that sort. But if we think about how we read the room, and I don't think we do a lot of walking into rooms and understanding who's in the room before we strategically start figuring out who we need to be. And that's the great thing about us, is that we can be chameleons in any room. If it's time to pop shit, we popping shit. If it's time to just be quiet and start listening, we also have those flexible abilities. I think it's just being able to discern when and where and how. It's just how you leverage once you get to that point. Like for me, doing marketing at a global level, there aren't a lot of Black people, let alone Black women, doing what I do in those spaces. So thinking about how you carry the culture on your back because you're the only nigga that they see, what does that look like for you? How do you discern it? But I'm fortunate enough to be myself and represent Black America the way I need to represent Black America. They see me and they're like, you know what? I love Natasha. I love Blacks. I love the Blacks. Like, so it's up to you how you want to carry the torch. If you want to carry it for the culture, you want to carry it for yourself, you want to go in this room and be who you are. It's about discernment and having that emotional intelligence. And as you level up in your career or you become a nigga with millions, you have to be able to read the room, and you have to be able to be flexible, to be, to play the cards that you need to play. If you got an ace, you know when to throw it down. It's the same way. It's just spades and not checkers.
Gary, can I say this before the midpoint transition? I think white people pick on less confident but highly competent Black people, and they don't do it. They don't do it in reverse. You always hear something. You'll hear a sister that probably scored 4.0 and like the highest breakthrough in chemistry in college, but they know that that's a soft tone sister or a soft tone brother. They just want to focus on academia, and they pick on individuals like that. They don't pick on the tougher of our community that may not have as much competence or that may have the competence. So the ones that have the confidence and the competence, a balanced ratio, they kind of completely castrate them. They're on their own. They have to literally get it out of the mud. The ones that are super confident but really low competence, and I'm talking about in a broad amount of areas, someone like a Kodak Black, if you will. And I think Kodak Black is a brilliant brother, but I'm talking about across the spectrum. They'll propagate a brother like him. But then you get a sister or a brother with high confidence and high competence castrated, low confidence but high competence, they'll pick on them. I see it like a biological warfare, 100%. You don't, how many times you guys hear you got a very aggressive Black attorney that got pulled over and got mistreated by the cops? This stuff, when we hear about these things, it be in the poor neighborhoods where a lot of us grew up. You don't really be hearing them, oh, they pulled the such and such justice judge over and completely eviscerated this judge. Even when they make those mistakes, they get fired or they're completely shaken. Like when that guy pulled over the black lady, didn't know that she was the DA. When he was going back, his camera was still on. He was like, fuck, fuck, fuck. He was breathing hard. He knew he was fucked. Like 100%. So I just want us to see the game that they play. It's not like they see us all the same and they treat us the same. They be having their delineation. They be knowing like, oh, we can't really fuck with him. We're not about to really, because he's too loud. He's going to come up, but we can definitely pick on this person. And when they do that, they want the black community to think that everybody has to be like that person. Get your ass in line, nigga, or we'll do you like we did such and such. And you don't even focus on the strong people in our community because they become the majority of the majority. It's a whole psyop as far as I'm concerned. I'm going on mute.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I do not believe in toxic humility by no means. You know what I'm saying? Like if you deserve to be confident, be confident. But if we're talking about moving over into the space of cockiness, it's just, it's just a different type of currency. It's a big bill. You know what I'm saying? Like you really don't need to pull out a big bill to pay for some small shit. You know what I'm saying? Isaac, did you want to get in here or you just chilling?
I'm kind of catching up to the subject a little late, but fill me in.
Yeah. So, Shadur, Nick, I'm not sure if you want to reset the room, but Shadur did not. He was projected to go this place, did not go this place. It looks and feels like an attempt to break his spirit. But is it because of is it toxic? Is it the way he's selling himself marketing wise? Is it because he's feeling backlash because he's being toxic with regards to cockiness, or does he have a right to be so confident? So
Well, I mean, I've never really heard him say anything that, I've never heard him publicly say anything that doesn't sound anything beyond what any athlete would say. So I don't understand where all this cockiness comes. He sounds like every other athlete. So I don't understand why I was seeing the way I was looking at him and Cam Ward when they were going back and forth. Cam Ward was just as cocky. I'm like, what are you talking about? Cam Ward they're roasting each other. Like they're both confident young black men. So I can't see what the difference is between any of these young athletes. I don't care what race you are. I mean, that's what makes champions. I mean, I think that's kind of what it is. I mean, Michael Jordan was an extremely cocky person. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the thing that I think that could affect is the public perception of how an individual is. So meaning as much as like I always go back to The Last Dance. Michael Jordan never spoke cocky to the media. On the court, he was going to trash talk you to death. But when that microphone got in from him, he was like, "Oh yeah, we played great defense. We shared the ball. We did it." He didn't say like, I'm the best out here and they can't do shit about it." No, they didn't say anything. He'll say, "We'll see what happens in Game 5. We'll see what." So there's a level of charisma and confidence that you can have. Now with social media, that's a lot harder. It can be misinterpreted by the narratives that everything is split up amongst all these different media outlets and how Sports Illustrated, ESPN make you sound one way, or the NFL make you want to sound another way. So it's just understanding how to navigate that, and that's tough for young people because they've lived this external life of living their lives online and sharing all their highs and lows and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty interesting, but I've never looked at Shador Sanders as like this super cocky, arrogant kid, like at all. If anything, Deion's more cocky than all of them, but I mean Deion backed it up, and I know Deion was a terror to a lot of people in the sense of his confidence. Like when he was coming up, I remember like man, he was, but he backed it up. Like he'll run in the end zone backwards. Like it's just that's what he was able to do, and maybe that might be I think this has more to do with Deion than his son.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's probably what it is.
To piggyback off of that, like you said, we discussed it a little bit, but the fact that they did not want him trying to dictate in the same manner that the Mannings did for Eli. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they feel like, oh nigga, you got away with one because you was a bad motherfucker in the 90s. And so we had to let you get away with it. But your son,
Yeah, I mean that's probably true. And again, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the NFL as an establishment because it's such a hot and cold. It's like one day they cool, the next day they not. One day all right, you can't, Tim Tebow can kneel, but the next day Colin Kaepernick can't. It's too inconsistent, you know what I'm saying, to me for me to even really understand that, you know what I'm saying, or care about that. So that's just my opinion on it. There's a level of inconsistency with the NFL that doesn't have me attached to it one way or another. I know this is what young people do to pursue their dreams and they're really interested. So I don't know. I think until the culture of the way that the league is run, because I think that's not the same I think the NFL is an absolutely unique situation that they really have this kind of like master mentality, like we run shit over here. You know what I'm saying? The NBA doesn't necessarily have that. In fact, I think it was the more the players ran it until they traded Luka. But until they did that, but I think the Shador thing, confidence versus cockiness. I think this is definitely related towards the NFL, but the average person can also assume that confidence is cockiness. I think I've been called cocky more as many times as I've been called confident. So it is what it is.
Agreed.
I think this is rare. I think it's a rare case. I don't think Shador was good enough to be as cocky as he was.
Well, tell us your name and tell us where you're calling from, and then get in there.
Yeah, I was waiting to be called, but all right.
Okay, go ahead. Whoever was supposed to go ahead.
Go for it. All right. So, King Blair Radio Show. Tell us where you're calling from, and what would you like to add to the conversation? And then right after that, we got you, Grand Chancellor.
This is King Blue. I host a Raw Drive radio show. I'm so glad to be on Fanbase because I don't have to deal with a lot of the red tape from other social media platforms. But let me just say this. We will go crazy trying to make sense out of the things that white folks do. You cannot make this make sense. The only way you can understand what they're doing is if you change one word in the nomenclature. And Isaac hit on it for a second. Don't call the NFL owners. Look at them as masters, and you'll see exactly why they act the way they act. You'll see why Colin Kaepernick couldn't kneel, but Tim Tebow could. You'll see why they would allow Shador to drop that low when he proved he was. I'm sorry, of course somebody's calling. Y'all have a good one.
I think that's you.
No, it's him. He said,
He didn't say I'm coming back. He said y'all have a good one.
Yeah, he got good one. He got to answer. That's the office phone. That was business. He got that's a call on his own radio show calling in like, yeah.
That man about his business, boy. I'm going on mute.
Grand Chancellor, welcome back. Tell us where you're calling from, and what would you like to add to the convo?
I'm calling from Newark, New Jersey.
At Newark. Talk to us. What you got this morning?
Yeah, so this morning, this weekend was a wild weekend with the NFL draft. I think the main reason I tuned in was to see Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders, Cam Ward all get drafted. I think with the Shador Sanders thing, I personally watched probably 70% of his football games this season.
Right.
As it was very entertaining to see Black America come into a town like Colorado,
right,
and actually show up for those guys and actually support them. So I thought that was a beautiful thing. I thought Deion Sanders, what he was building was a beautiful thing, especially since it started down at Jackson State, started before that in Prosper, Texas, what he had at school and whatnot. I think it was actually Cedar Hill, Texas, with his football school. So I come from football background. Amazing thing what they built down there. But I think Shador just was not talented enough in his current past season to be as cocky as he was. And I think for his father to kind of stand in front of him to actually lead the light, I think his season just wasn't what it needed to be a top 10 draft pick, top 20 draft pick. So, I'm on both sides, but I think they should have drafted him based off of he's a star, like bar none. Who gives a shit if he wasn't the best? He's a star. He has the bravado, no homo. He has the looks, right? He's got the confidence. I think if it was run by Black people, no matter fucking what, we would have took him just off of his bravado, his swagger. He's a leader. He's a guy who's going to uplift. He's a Christian-based man, family-based man who doesn't want that the lead of our team, right? But he doesn't fit the white narrative, I feel, of that white Christian Anglo-Saxon look, so he wouldn't fall in narrative as a leader to the white household necessarily. He had more of the bad guy image in the white household, where he would flash his diamond ring, diamond watch, and go against teams, right? And then when he flashed those diamond watches, he wasn't necessarily winning. So I think
Who are you talking about?
Shedeur Sanders.
So you're saying, because I want you to educate me on what cockiness. Where was his cockiness? Where did he display his cockiness so I can go see for myself?
When in the pregame, he would flash his bust down AP, right? Like he had songs talking about. That's cocky. If you flashing a diamond watch at a college football game, that's very cocky. In the football, a lot, Lynn. In football, and you're playing football before the game, you're flashing a watch. That is extremely cocky when you have to go out there and play.
Grand Chairler, what I'm asking you, I know when people ask a question and if they keep repeating the statement as if that's the answer, you're acting as if we share your default. Explain to us how. You still haven't done that.
Okay. And okay, I'm trying to understand how I could break it down. Right, playing football, it's a dangerous game, right? Football is a dangerous sport. So that means you have to be respectful of the other team. You're trying to show them up and saying, I got more than you. I'm cooler than you. I'm better than you. What he was doing.
What does that have to do with the points on the board, though? What does that have to do with that? What's on the field?
His team wasn't winning. They weren't beating anybody.
More importantly, how do you know that was his intention by showing his watch? Maybe he just.
Well, no matter what the intention was, what the end outcome was, he became a villain.
No, the intention matters, because if he's not intending to, if he's not intending to be cocky, but you're receiving it as cockiness, that has nothing to do with it.
I know what you're trying to do. If you're in Colorado, we know what his image was for that team. But for the opposing teams, what he got labeled as on ESPN, what the fan bases opposed him as when he came to town, he is a villain, right? Like you're the villain.
Understand what white talking points mean? Meaning when a person.
I understand what white talking points mean, but I'm saying the reason why he didn't get drafted.
Your premise sounds white, as if you accepted the white premise.
Oh, hold on.
But I'm saying the main narrative is what is what they're painting against him. Why he didn't get drafted.
I'm rocking with you on that, but I'm saying, do you think that? And
do I think? I know you. I live what I think.
To be honest, every single player that got drafted walked out there with the biggest diamond chains on I had ever seen. All of them had on ice when they got drafted.
No, not when they got drafted. We're talking about during the season.
I know, but so then
during the season he was actually flashing a diamond watch.
No, so wait. So at what point? So wait. So what is? So you're saying that's not so coming to the NFL draft with diamond chains on? That's not cocky either.
I think that's a level of like, this is my big moment to shine, right? But
now we moving the goalpost. So
I'm not moving the goalpost. But I'm saying, but listen, check me out. What Shedeur was going to opposing team stadium, going to their student section and flashing that watch saying, look at me, I'm that guy, right? Mm-hmm. And his team was not winning enough. He was not performing well enough to have that moniker. If you're doing that, you got to be the Heisman Trophy winner. If you swag
wait a
like
minute,
that,
wait, but didn't Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders share the same record on the same team?
They share the same record, but they didn't share the same accomplishments per player, right? Like Travis Hunter was the best player in college football.
So you saying Shedeur Sanders' stats were not phenomenal?
Not his stats, his performance, right? As somebody who watched football.
No, what were his stats though?
Not the stats, because we're talking about the judgment of an NFL eye. If we're judging like, okay,
are you an NFL? Are you an NFL scout?
No, I'm not an NFL scout, but I've been around NFL football my whole life, right? And I know when I watched Shedeur Sanders, that was not an NFL prototypical quarterback. He was not ready to go from college to the NFL to start day one. He took a lot of sacks. He held the ball too long.
But all the analysts that say he got sacked and held the ball because they said his line was terrible. He had a terrible line.
His line was terrible, right? His line was terrible, but he did the same thing in Jackson State when his line wasn't terrible. He did the same thing the first couple of seasons at Jackson State. So it was like those are things he had to work on, right?
So you're saying I thought Shedeur Sanders had broke a bunch of records. I thought he had or he had broke records at Colorado, or he had the best, all these accolades that said
we're not saying he didn't well. He didn't
in that what any other NFL prospect gets judged by?
No. They get judged by the moments when you actually have competition, when a big team come to town. How you perform in those crunch time moments. In that third quarter, when you coming out of halftime, if you're down by 2 touchdowns, how do you lead your team into the remainder of the game? How do you lead in your team in that first drive in the fourth quarter?
I saw Colorado lead an amazing comeback. I saw them lead an amazing comeback on
He might have been one, but consistently when they played top ranked teams, Shedeur Sanders did not show up. His team would get beat by 40 points. He wouldn't score a touchdown to the end of the game. They would shut his team out. And that's not what that's not something you lead a team with as a quarterback. You have to be shining, like new money every time you play. You can't have those rusty moments. He had a lot of rusty moments. And I think bar none,
so that warranted him being drafted in the 5th round.
All right.
Well, hey, look, yeah, I'm about to say let's get somebody else.
No, I know. I'm just trying to make sense of, because I think the only reason why I said that is
mounted with the fact that he was cocky.
Hold on. I know. But only reason why I was saying that real quick is I think that his sentiment is kind of a combination of two things. That it's like his offense to Shedeur Sanders' flashiness composed with his opinion that he was not ready to be an NFL quarterback, which neither of, and I've never heard any analyst say either about Shedeur Sanders. I've never heard anybody say he flashed his diamond watch too much or that he wasn't talented enough to be in the top pick in the NFL. So that's all I'm saying. So y'all can hear that
topic.
Well, I want to wrap my point up.
Yeah, that's why this is such a great topic. Only because, is it cockiness or is it confidence?
It's how a person receives it. Someone's insecurity.
It's perception.
It's perception.
It's perception.
No, people can absolutely be cocky. Hold on. Kanye West is a cocky person. Kanye West will say some crazy outland. Like, there's some narcissistic people like Donald Trump, like that, are just like, when your belief in what you do goes beyond your actual I don't know, success or accomplishments or what you're able to do. But you can stand on it. You can absolutely do that. Some people are just super cocky.
Well, you just brought up a great person, because I would tell you that the cockiness for Kanye didn't necessarily start until we started disagreeing. When Kanye was doing, I'm a genius, I'm Walt Disney, I'm all that, and he was making College Dropout and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, everybody was like, hey, I mean, he ain't wrong. And now we're like, yeah, he's doing too much.
No, I'm not.
I think that line, you like I said, when it supersedes, I think when it supersedes perception, that's the problem. Not necessarily your accomplishments or whatever. Like, I think that, hell, I think I can come off a certain way. I think Duran can come off a certain way. I think I can come off a certain way, depending on what people's perception of us is. If you think that I'm great at marketing, then when I tell you I'm really one of the best that do this shit, you like, yeah, I mean, he wrong. But if you think I'm not, or if you think I'm just, well, he good in Atlanta, but he ain't good elsewhere, then my shit comes off kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is a perception thing.
It depends on if they like you. You know what I'm saying? Because if I like you, I'll rock with that. But if I don't like you, it's like, who the fuck is he to say that? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Who else we got up here, man? I know we got a few other people on stage that I want to get to before we wrap the call up.
Asia, welcome to the stage. Tell us where you calling to add to the conversation.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Asia. I'm from Brooklyn originally, but I currently live in Los Angeles. So I'm going to try and make this brief because I have a lot to say, I guess. So as the mother of a son, my son is 34 years old. He played football in high school. But I just want to say about the comment about Shedeur wearing, his jewelry. Since when is there a specific timeline when a Black man can wear his jewelry? I think America does a great job already of trying to make Black men shrink themselves. Yeah. You know, you got to clench your butt cheeks if you see the police in the rearview mirror. They tried it with the movie Sinners by creating a different narrative about Ryan Coogler's deal. Also, you have this situation where I just think Black men are made to shrink themselves far too much. And if someone wants to wear jewelry, if they want to be cocky about who their dad is or whatever accomplishments they made, Black people, we are so critical of one another, almost more so than these racist white people. And if you notice, even when they interview new actors, you will only hear them ask a Black actor, hey, what did you do with your first big paycheck? As if they've never had a large amount of money before. I think we have to stop being, the co-signer of these white narratives and how we behave. it smells to me sort of like a white people are looking, behave, nigger. I thought we were beyond that.
I feel you.
If this young man wants to wear his jewelry, I live in Los Angeles. I see rich, wealthy, not wealthy, and this is a fashion capital. I love seeing black people in their clothes and their jewelry and their cars. I don't know
Well,
where everybody's from, but that for some places that's normal.
I'll say
Give
this.
you know
I
Yeah,
I
never
like
heard
the
of
way you
people having a problem with jewelry when Liberace was right there, iced out his own.
exactly.
Liberace was iced out. Nobody said nothing.
That's exactly what came to mind. And I'm not criticizing, but
yeah.
the guy who was speaking, he said no homo. So I said, you know what? I'm not even going to mention Liberace. Also, thinking another black man is attractive has nothing to do with homosexuality.
Oh, I was ready to say that. Thank you, Sister
It
Asia. I
has
like Asia
nothing to
a
do
lot.
with it. In full disclosure,
What?
I've been married to a woman for the past 13 years, but I do have a son. I don't dislike men. I see good looking men all the time. And I'm like, oh my God. You know
Well,
what I mean?
so
So as black people, we can complement each other. A lot of this stuff is this Eurocentric idea of manhood or proper behavior in public. It's ridiculous. It's
all right.
ridiculous to me. So I'm sorry. That's all I had to say, y'all.
So,
I'm gonna keep listening though.
so with regards to college sports, like this is one thing that I feel like the guy was trying to say, Chancellor was trying to say, that may or may not be getting missed in college sports, because he didn't say it for real. But in college sports, it's more of a blue collar mentality. You see what I'm saying? So there's like me as a father, I don't have children yet, but say for instance, me being Shadur's dad, it depends on whether I come from a blue collar background or not. If I come from a blue collar background, I'm gonna say, son, only show off when you're winning. You feel me? If you ain't winning, don't try to show nobody up. But if I'm not, and I'm just, we stars regardless, it's like, bro, show off whenever you feel like it. On a good day, a bad day, when it's raining, drop the top on you. You know what I'm saying? Do whatever you want. But I guess when we're talking about judgment and cockiness and all that, it comes from context. It comes
But
from.
Gary, why would you teach your son? And I'm a father of 4 boys.
Oh,
My
I don't.
oldest son is 19. Why would you teach your son? I know you don't have a son. I'm just saying you spoke figuratively. I'm giving you a figurative question. Why would you teach your son to like set his default like that, like only show off when you're winning? I listen to words. The fact that you said show off, I would want that definition. Who created the narrative that showing off even exists?
Yeah.
What does that even mean to say show? What is the
Well,
definition of the show off?
the answer to that, Duran, is blue collar folks are the ones that would choose the terminology. Oh, that's showing off, like
And
because.
that's why we should disagree with it. And that's why we should show off, just because of
So,
what you just said.
yeah, so it's just all about adding context to why different people might feel a different way. Because like Nick is the best if I like him, but I'm the best if I hate him. You know what I'm saying? Type
But
shit.
your son, Gary, your son, and I'm so passionate about this conversation, your son is more important than a fucking college and a football game. Because what you're doing to his neurons, as Dick Gregory would say, you're teaching trillions of cells that he should comply to a group of people because they said so.
So with
Okay,
that,
hold on. I got not even a pushback, but I want to say this because I can take it off of Shador, I can take it off the NFL, I can take it off anything as a parent. And Tiff can attest to this. Like we've had a conversation with our daughter Orion. She just turned 7. Happy birthday to my little baby girl.
happy
But
birthday.
I know from personal experience, Tiffany as well. We all know the whole pretty girl thing of, hey, when you're pretty, hell, I just had this conversation with one of the people that work with Carrie Hilson. When you're pretty, there's certain things you're not, quote unquote, supposed to say, right? There are certain ways you're not supposed to come off because you know that the perception of the backlash becomes, oh, she thinks she cute. Oh, she think because she look like this or because she move like this or because her daddy is so and so, she can do da 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 da. And you know that when you're trying to and Duran, as I'm saying this out loud, maybe I'm proving your point as well. When you're trying to assimilate, when you're trying to fit in, when you're trying to work within the confines of whatever the space is, work, school, whatever it is, there is a certain level of this is how you're supposed to comport yourself, right? Like you're not supposed to, you want to stand out, you want to be great, you want to be good at what you do, but you don't want to intimidate, you don't want to make others feel less than or inferior. So there is a certain way that you kind of kick it to accomplish that. So Duran, I may be proving your point. Gary, I may be proving your point as well, but I think I see it in everyday life, not just Shador Sanders. You know?
Yeah, but in the terms of Shador Sanders, I think maybe Prime, I'm sure Prime raised his son to feel like, bro, win, lose, draw, you're you, number one. Number two, you're my boy. And so you feel free to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that's the way, you know what I'm saying, that he's raised his kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's the only way you be a star is, you know, being self-perpetual. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, to your point, Duran. Let's see. Oh, and plus I don't mind staying on a little bit late since we're really getting into it. Let's see. Paradise One, tell us where you calling from? And what would you like conversation?
Hi, I'm Paradise One, and I'm calling from Virginia. And I've been listening to the conversations, and I really like what Asia was saying. And I was just wondering, why is it that we are not upset when the white man acts confident and cocky, but we're taken aback when the black man acts confident and cocky? Who sets the standards that he should not be confident and cocky at the same time? What's wrong with being confident and cocky? And and I just wanna, this is off the path right now that I'm going to say something about Isaac Ace. Isaac, I just want to stop to thank you for what you're doing to create this platform for Black people to express themselves. I've been wanting to say thank you for the longest personally. I have not had the opportunity to do so. And so I just want to personally thank you and to say kudos to you for what you're doing. And I apologize for changing the subject a little bit, but I just have to acknowledge you because as a Black man, you have taken the torch to another level to say, hey, Black people, we need our own space. And I wish I could shake your hands, but I'm far, far away from you. But I just want to say to you, I love you. I appreciate you, and I hope everyone in this in this group right now follows you. But back to the question that I have: what is wrong with being confident and cocky, and why are we placing limitations on the Black man? He's been through so much, and why are we upset with him when he's expressing himself however he feels to express himself? I love my Black
So
men, and I think they should be arrogant. And if they choose to be cocky, I don't see anything wrong with it either. I yield the
so
mic.
I
Thank you.
so I'll
Give her a
I think
Thank
moderation
you.
badge. Give her a moderation badge. I'm going on mute.
yeah, no, I think that the answer becomes ultimately what are you trying to accomplish? And I think it's a leverage conversation. It's a where are you trying to go conversation. I think the ability to be cocky, to be whatever, depends on the environment and ultimately where you're trying to go. I don't think I don't think a lot of us necessarily have a problem with Shador, how he talks, how he moves. I see it every day. I'm in the music business though. So I see that type of attitude, that type of behavior, that type of those mannerisms every day, and none of it moves me, and none of it even hits my radar as, oh, that person's being cocky or anything like that. I think that many of us will say, hey, look, if you're trying to get a job, you have to kick it a certain way. If you're trying to get into a certain door, you got to kick it a certain way. And who determines that certain way? I think we can all pretty much agree on how we got here. Should it be that way? I don't believe so. And like I said, I brought up Baker Mayfield earlier. Baker Mayfield did some of the most cockiest, arrogant stuff I ever saw in college football. Like, Baker's one of my favorite players as well. And Baker still got drafted really high. Baker did achieve some things, so I can't even front like Baker was not. Did Baker win the Heisman? I feel like he won the Heisman as well. But Baker Mayfield was always character. I mean, he got kind of a jerk uh, tag at some point. He was labeled a bit of a jerk as a kid. He got into some trouble and all of that. And that's the crazy part about it. Shador hasn't gotten into any off the field trouble. He has not been labeled a bad teammate. He's only been labeled the cocky and arrogant thing by being Deion's son and flashing that fucking watch. That watch alone and that kind of gesture when he's showing the watch has really summed up his. That's all we ever talk about is he got to stop doing that. He got to stop doing that. He got to stop doing that. And anybody who watches college football the way that I do, we've seen Baker plant the team flag on the other person's middle of the field in the end zone. He's fucking grabbed his nuts in the ends. Like Baker did it all, and he did not get this sort of antagonistic attitude towards him, especially when it came time to do the draft. And he's short. If y'all remember, Baker's a little guy. So he had all the reasons for an NFL team to be like, well, he's a little too small. He can't see over the line. I mean, all of the things that you would not want a quarterback to be, Shador actually has them and Baker didn't, and here we are.
What if he was marketing the watch to get a sponsorship? And when our players go bankrupt because of bad financial literacy, are those same owners coming to them, or do they have to pawn the very same watch? So it's like one of those things where with enough time, we can really decipher all of these positions. A lot of black people are subconsciously communicating white points, and they don't even know that they're doing it. That's why I can't really even be upset with them. I'm going on mute. Not you two, Nick and Gary. I'm just saying generally some of the sentiments I've heard in the room. They like, what are we talking about? They got to pawn the very same watch. If the NFL's not coming to help them with health care, they're not coming and say, I'll give you a stipend. They're not even giving these NFL player loans after the season. Just loan me $20 million. And after I get on my feet, I'll give it back to you. Nah, you out of the league. In fact, you got to pay to come back in the building. I'm going on mute.
But no, Duran, you don't have
Hold
to.
on.
But Duran, you don't have to exclude me and Gary. I think all of us. I think everybody on this call, in some form or another,
We raised here.
has kind of shaped their perspectives based on the world that we live in, and the world that we live in a lot of ways, most ways, is a Eurocentric perspective. I think in some form or fashion, whether it's the way we dress, talk, act, what we drive, where we live, the whole thing, like moving to better neighborhoods, quote unquote, which we all know that quote unquote better equals a white neighborhood, or at least a mixed or diverse neighborhood. Everything that we do kind of is under that gaze in some form or fashion. Even those of us who push back on certain ways, there are other things that we absolutely assimilate on. So we're here. I guess the original question, and I know we're at the end of the point. Hell, it's 11:04. The original question that I was asking was more so like, well, what happens now? Like, Shador won't be the last person who comes up on it. He may be the last Deion Sanders, because Deion Sanders. Let's start here. Is a one-of-one type of player. Like, he's been a superstar since he was in college. Like, Deion Sanders, when he was at Florida State, was a superstar at 19, 20 years old. And he continued to be a superstar till the time he retired, and even post-career as an analyst, as a coach. Deion is a one-of-one fucking superstar. His son comes from that. I would almost expect his son to act the way that he acts. Everybody.
Can I add something too?
Yeah, go ahead.
I did it. So the just to talk about Shador Sanders real quick and the watch whole thing, that actually started because the Nebraska players stepped on the field on the Colorado logo during practice. And then they had an overtime victory against Colorado State. And he showed before that, the Colorado State's head coach dissed Deion Sanders prior to the game, and Shador took it personally. So he went and flexed on him after they won. So it wasn't like he just came out showing a watch. It was in response to people being disrespectful and trying to show him up. So he said, I'm gonna pull out my AP on him. And and he's like, perfect timing.
I love that.
and so the whole notion is perfect timing. And that's where the flex comes from. So again, I'll say this in closing, I'm gonna shut my mouth. You can be as cocky and arrogant as you absolutely want to be. There's no rule to say you can't be a cocky and arrogant person. If there is something that you want or you're trying to accomplish from the situation, your cockiness or arrogance may play a part in the success of that. So being strategic. So I don't think that what Shador Sanders has done is anything more excessive than any other player has done. So I think he's being overly criticized for that. Now, I say, I think Gary and Nick said, if you're trying to get a job, cool. If you're trying to, accomplish something or raise money, it's like, how about I'm trying to raise money, but I show up with all diamonds and post pictures of private jets. That probably wouldn't bode well. You know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't be able to raise, depending on who I was raising money from, though. Because I know Duran would probably say, it depends on who you're raising money from. Because some people be like, yo, I ain't coming up there. You let me know you got it. But if I'm trying to do equity crowdfunding, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to me have an AP on and be on private jets and courtside at the game. That probably wouldn't help me raise capital. You know what I mean?
Because it's blue collar.
Let me know you got it.
Gary, I think another thing is when you have like when the Black story is like coming from nothing, and so white people can say, "Look at this," and point at it and say, "I help with that." That's more palatable from them. But when you have somebody like a Shador Sanders who he does not need their help, that's the part that I think that's really bothering them, like to the core. It's there's no way that we can insert ourselves in this story and say that we're a part of it, so now we don't like it.
Yeah. Like it's just like Jeff said, the man don't need nothing. He's still wealthy. And of course that rubs him the wrong way. Owen, real quick, I'm not gonna hold everybody else, Nick, if you gotta go, Isaac, I know you're running the whole world. But Owen, tell us where you're from. What would you like to add to the conversation? You're the last one up.
Oh, awesome. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm living in Houston right now.
What up?
I've seen this where they try to put those types of things on
What up,
our. What up, though? What up, though? I remember when Kwame Kilpatrick, probably not the best example, but he was a young black mayor of Detroit, and the first thing they got on him about was having an earring in his ear. It was like, wow, this dude's a black mayor of Detroit. Like, let's cut him a little bit of slack. He's a young guy, also, but there was a lady here asking, I think it was Paradise One, why is it always looked at? We're always looked at as cocky. Um, they have a negative word for everything positive a black man does. So, do you know any black mavericks? No, but they call somebody like that a maverick, a leader, someone being bold. But they automatically call it cocky, right? This stems from slavery. So if a white man wants to take your wife and do whatever, or he slaps the hell out of you in front of your kids, you not only have to take the slap, if you look at him in a way like you might feel a way about it, if you show any sign of pride or manhood, then you're being insolent. And they have laws where they could do this to you for being insolent. So you better not make eye contact, who you eyeballing, that type of thing. So when a black man stands up, it triggers white people because they're still used to that shit. They're still used to that shit.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much what it is.
no doubt.
That's pretty much what it is. I'll land it there.
No doubt. No, that's still what it is. Only problem is, well, it's a problem for them, not for us. The problem is they can't do shit about it now. You know what I'm saying? Except for draft you in the 5th round or some other shit. But like if you're Duran, you're raising your own money, you fucking Ike, and you're building your own company, and you fucking you're LeBron, and you're already a billionaire athlete, so you could just buy a team and play on it the same, and draft your son and hire the coach yourself while also playing. Like, yeah, they got all this black privilege, and they can't stop it. All they can do is buy tickets and watch the shit. So
Yeah, that's another piece to it too. Black people, I hope we stop being the disgruntled ex with these white folks, and we coming together as a group of ex-girlfriends, all complaining about the same dude, and then we all going back to that nigga. You know what I'm saying? So if we're not going to start our own NBA, NFL, then we're going to have to deal with this until white people choose to do something about their perception. And you think we're supposed to wait for white people to do something before we move? We just got to move without them.
And black people, my last message to you all, even if you got your money from white people, you don't have to have a perpetual allegiance to it. Like, it's okay. You can stop while you're ahead, because if you keep showing that you have to protect the white dollar that gave you the money, then the larger black community is going to turn on you. And that's not the thing that you want, because white people don't really have your back. That means you'll have white people really against you and black people against you. So you can stop while you're ahead. Okay, you got the money, you may lose that contract. But if you see 700 new black people get it out the mud and do it themselves, they'll look out for you. Just go and get with some real black people. But don't keep acting as if you're standing, and that's what Tariq Nasheed called our Wallow, and it upset me that Wallow had to do that. He said, you always got some fake objective Negro that has to be overly objective for white society. I was like, that's spot on, because they really be doing that. I don't need to come on stage and tell black people is their business okay, because the premise of that is I'm suggesting that I've met all black businesses. That's what I want you all to do. Start asking people questions, and you'll find they really can't answer them. So black people really do need to get their business together. So you went to all 60,000 black businesses in America? No, but you get what I'm saying. I don't get what you're saying, actually. You're not going to utilize an expression on me neither. You didn't go to all 60,000 black people businesses. So how can you say black people businesses are off? You may find that 52,000 of them are perfect, and it's only 8,000 of them that we have to fix. So we got to really watch out. A lot of times it's black people that it's literally hard for them to extrapolate themselves from white systems. So they don't even know that at the subconscious level, they're regurgitating this shit. So I'm just letting you all know, you can let it go. You can let the white rope go. We're good now going 2025 and beyond. You can go ahead and let that white rope go. We got you. I'm going on mute.
Shit, and I think we'll land the plane there, man. So next Monday, 10 a.m. to 11ish a.m. we'll be here discussing high-level thoughts and ideas with regards to marketing and all things within that contextual zeitgeist. So next week, same time, same place. Love you guys.
Great job, Gary. This is a good room.
Bro.